What's going on, everybody? It is the Willie Ashford from the Black Culture Podcast. I know you're ready to get into this interview, but before you do,
make sure that you like and subscribe to our channel on YouTube, Apple, Google, and Spotify at the Black Culture Podcast. And
also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the Black Culture Podcast. Peace.
Yeah, man. First of all, thank you for taking this time, bro, because I know you're a super busy dude with all the good stuff you got going on, and definitely want to delve into that today. But I want to shout out my co-host who couldn't be here today because he's actually out with his wife for her birthday.
Okay.
So, but before we get started, definitely want to do a toast. And we have this tradition on the Black Culture Podcast where you pick the toast.
Oh man, that's awesome, man. Well, do I shout out what I'm drinking?
You can shout out whatever, bro.
So man, let's toast to prosperity, man, and this new wave of information that's being given, man. It's the new trend.
I love it.
Let's straight up shout out to that. Straight up.
Cheers, bro.
Cheers.
So yeah, man, let's get into it. First of all, we got to shout out Heights. You know what I'm saying? So my co-host didn't go to Heights, and I love having Heights alone.
He don't need to be on this then. He don't need to be on this. This ain't for him right now.
Yeah, man. Let's dive into it, man. I want to get into, which I think I'm gonna title this episode "Divide and Conquer."
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, bro. So I want to know how that got started and what was the process leading up to that. Because I'm always impressed with people, period, especially from our culture, who are successful. But when you do it as a couple, man, that's just like, one, I know just maintaining the household is a challenge, but to build wealth and prosperity together, that's a whole different set. So kind of delve into that, man, and how that got started for y'all.
Man, divide and conquer is all about succeeding while strategizing, right? And so what I've recognized is that we all want to succeed. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna throw another S in there. Succeeding, strategizing, and sacrificing, right? And so what we all want to succeed, but where we lack at is the strategizing and the sacrificing attached to the strategy. And so what my wife and I did strategically was first just have that conversation, like what do we want to do, like what are we looking at, and then you look at where you are. And I think a lot of times we don't have that true conversation with who we really are, right? And so we live in a world that we kind of present ourselves, and it's not really. So I looked at everything. I broke it down. I said, this is where we are. This is our credit. This is what we have in the bank. This is what we have. So we're trying to reach this goal. How do I, how do I marry my dreams to my reality and be able to, navigate that course? And doing so by traveling the path of least resistance. You know what I mean? So that was, man, and we sat down and we really had an honest conversation with ourselves and mapped it out. And that honest conversation is where it's at, straight up.
So how do you navigate the business and the personal? Because I would say traditionally, it's usually if somebody in the family makes the most money, usually it's the man, right? And then the woman manages the household. But y'all came together and said, we're going to go on this journey together. So how do you manage the financial side of, okay, let's be smart, strategic, and put things in place to achieve that, but also maintain the health of the actual relationship just between the two of y'all?
Man, I think to your point is focusing on finding that common balance, you know what I'm saying? Which is different, right? So like, it's different from like, so naturally people say, hey, we're just trying to find that common balance. No, you put an intense focus on trying to find that common balance. So that's priority. You know what I mean? So meaning we recognize we got this world in front of us that we're trying to reach. And we recognize that we also got a family, and we recognize that we also, we got kids, and we got businesses, but prioritize everything. And then once you prioritize everything, then everything starts to make sense. And so, you know what I mean? And so it's literally sitting back and be like, yo, all right, what do we have? You know what I mean? Okay, well, what's in front of us? So we know that if me and you aren't together in a good space, then none of this works. So then what does priority say? That we need to be in a good space. You know what I mean? And so, once your priorities are straight, everything else just falls in place. Easy.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
So, as men, traditionally, we're taught to be the breadwinners, right?
Sure.
And to basically protect, provide, find that woman who's going to basically get up under our mission and all of that.
All that.
But how do you trust? Because I feel like a lot of guys out there don't necessarily trust their lady with being able to go on this type of journey. How are you able to trust her um, with basically being your partner in your journey towards financial success?
Man, I mean, bro, the bread is in the pudding. You know what I'm saying? Like it's no different than hiring somebody. Once you join this partnership, right? They've already once you decide to join a partnership, they've already shown you what you need to see in order to say yes to the partnership. You know what I'm saying? So meaning you decided to marry her because of everything she's already shown you previously to doing that. So like honestly, it wasn't hard. My wife's a beast. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? And
So
so
so did y'all, like, before y'all got married, did y'all say, look, y'all sat down and said, this is where we want to go? Was that how it went, or was
uh
it after?
so it was definitely after, right? Because
Mm.
I was on my individual journey, just kind of transitioning from because I was training sports athletes, and then I was just kind of transitioning into finance. And so I was in school, man. So that's the sacrifice part, right? Her kind of holding it down while I'm in school, get my finance degree and even believing in that, you know what I mean, that I can make something out of that, you know what I mean? And so and I think that's the biggest misconception, right? With women, you want to, just like you said, provide, right? And so that trust can be lost if you're ongoing and you're not proving that, hey, I can take care of you, right? Hey, I can. So I've proven myself, right? And so if I say, hey, I got a plan, and I map it out, right, and it makes sense, then she's all for the plan. You know what I
It's
mean?
fun. It's funny because when I originally reached out to you, it
Mhm.
was about the cannabis brand, and we're gonna get into that. But I saw
Yep.
the post that you made. It's probably like maybe a month later, and you broke down your story where you were talking about how you and your wife shared a living space with three of your family members, and y'all built that from there. What was that journey like? Because that's not your typical, like, it's
Uh,
usually let's get married, move into a apartment, buy a house, build from there. But you said, look, we starting from the bottom, right where we are, no excuses, and we ain't gonna look back.
so what I do very well is, like I said, I strategize, right? So I can take 2 steps back to take 5 steps forward because I know every step in between that I plan on doing. So if I come to you and say, "Hey, we're gonna start this business, but we're not gonna get a building, but this how we're gonna play it out. We're gonna work out of my garage. We, we're gonna earn. We're gonna do this. We're gonna earn X, Y, and Z. That X, Y, and Z is gonna pay us enough to do this, and that's gonna pay us enough to do that. And then then eventually we'll add up everything. We'll do that, and then we'll have our building in 1 or 2 years. That's a plan. That's a strategic plan. But versus saying, hey, we're gonna solve in this garage and we're just gonna make it do what it do and we're gonna rock it out, right? There's no security in that. You know what I mean? And so it's my job as a provider to provide that security. You know what I mean? Say, hey, listen, if we start here in this basement, right? All we have to do is you work on this job for 3 months. We're gonna do this. I got the loan officer ready to go. We're gonna get your credit right. We're gonna fix this up. We're gonna da 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 da. Take this, and then we're right there. I got the I showed us the area where we could buy houses for that price. Everything was planned out. So that makes you it's and it doesn't always go that way, but just to know that I thought of all that. I thought it through. You know what I'm saying? I didn't just bring you down here to, you know what I mean? I didn't just put you in the situation that, you know what I mean, that's just like, let's just figure it out. You know what I mean?
So let me ask you this. What advice would you give to couples who maybe haven't had that talk yet, but maybe one of the persons involved wants that and they want to bring it to their significant other, but they don't know how, right?
Yeah, man. It's just so it's like anything, bro. I believe in marital counseling. I believe in financial counseling, right? Um, Mostly because what I realize in this space that people just aren't good with money, and it's okay. You know what I'm saying? People just aren't good with their emotions, and that's okay, right? You're good at what you're good at, and these are skill sets that that you can improve on with specific help. So like similar to emotion, right? We use our experiences to kind of handle the way that we handle things, and then that flows into our relationship, it flows to our marriage, it flows to how we handle kids. And that's all based on our experiences, right? And it's similar to everything else with the way that we handle finances, right? We learn how we learn, you know what I mean, and that goes into our marriage, and that goes into our kids, and that's the generation. And so you need that same financial counseling the same exact way. So for ones that in relationships where it kind of does this with finances is because I may know more than you, but it doesn't mean I'm right. You know what I mean? So I may make more than you, but it doesn't mean I'm right when it comes to money, because money is factual, right? Now we talking numbers. And so I went to school for this. So I'm qualified to be able to make the decisions that affect our household. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of people didn't go to school. So however, that's okay. But it's up to the person to be qualified, right? And just because you have a higher pay or a higher knowledge than your spouse doesn't necessarily make you qualified. And so what I would say is I would advise people to go get qualified through financial counseling or take a course or do what I mean, read books, right? So that's where, and like I said, with the bickering comes for us. You're like, yo, you've been in charge and you ain't did nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? You ain't take us nowhere. Well, we still in the same apartment. You know what I mean? All that. I don't even.
Right.
All right, listen to you. You know what I'm saying?
Man, it's funny because like back in the day, the man would go to work and give his whole check to his wife to balance the books. And I wanted to ask you about that because you're in a space now where you're teaching other couples, you and your wife. Who do you usually find is the worst with money, the man or the woman?
Man, that's a great question, bro. Um, surprisingly, surprisingly, it's about 50-50. You'll be shocked because um so women are definitely, from what I've seen, women are definitely more organized with money. Don't mean they're better with money though,
Kind of go into that.
right? So better. So okay. So I want to take away better and worse. I want to take away those words, right? With
Okay.
with effective and ineffective. Because when you say better or worse, it ties in emotion to money, right? Into decision making, which affects how you move forward. So effective and ineffective goes strictly towards the goals that we're trying to reach. So that means when we make decisions with money, um, uh, is your decision effective towards the goal that we're trying to reach, or is it ineffective? And so when you make that mistake in 1 month, you can now look at it and say, this was ineffective. Let me change. Let me try something else, right? And that's how you gradually get better. When you say better or worse, then it goes to, man, you suck. You ain't touching my money. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? You ain't da da da. And so organization doesn't necessarily tie to effectiveness towards the ultimate goal. You know what I mean? Because if women were better, then everybody would give their checks to women, and it will all be in a better space.
It's funny. I was listening to a podcast and the guy was a former professional football player. And at first, when they first got married, and his wife even said it, she said she didn't feel like she played a part in the finances in the household. She felt like that was his money. And he also felt like that. And then it got to a point where he said, I need to start including her and the decisions. And he said when he did, she brought a different insight that made him think and said, you know what, you really need to be over this, not me. And I want to know for you, we see a lot of this whole financial literacy trend, which I absolutely love, but it's usually geared towards the individual person.
Sure.
When did you decide to do it for couples? Because that's a whole different game.
Man, I think team dynamics, right? You win with teams. You know what I mean? And so if one of the things that I saw is that if I'm going to subscribe to this journey, how valuable the finances are in this journey. And then one of the things I saw that is that literally what I'm really, really good at, right, when it comes to money and finances, is what 70% of why people get divorced. So my skill set now becomes a responsibility. You know what I mean? Because like, man, you mean to tell me everybody love each other, but money's the issue here? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? So everybody good with money. So I was like, all right, let's fix this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get it, bro. And let me ask you this. You know, we live in an age where because of technology, it allows our female counterparts to earn heavily, right? But in our culture, there's that I'm trying to find the right word, but there's that mindset that unfortunately a lot of our women have adopted, that they don't need a man. And it's not totally unfounded. You know, our fathers and uncles and grandfathers weren't the absolute best men. You know what I mean? So a lot of them left our mothers or grandmothers alone, and they didn't even have jobs or income. So a lot of them are being raised with that mindset. When you deal with couples that have came into a relationship with that mindset, how hard is it to bring those two people together, man?
Like money is the out of everything that we do, money is the one thing that it's probably the most taboo subject that people don't talk about, even within the relationship. Like, meaning, I know marriages that have strict rules. Your money is your money. My money is my money. We splitting this. You paying for this. Da da da. And so and so so I never tell people what to do in their household. I just make sure that based off of their goals that they're trying to reach, that the decision that they made within the household is effective or ineffective. You know what I'm saying? And we go through that together. But to your point, it can definitely be independent women who have worked so hard to get where they at. They love this man, but look, my money is my money. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? And breaking that wall and breaking that barrier, and never mind any experiences that she comes with, where, you know what I mean, she's given to the man, and you know what I mean, da da da. So there are a lot of barriers to break. But what I try to do is, again, not tell people what to do, but try to show people a better way of whatever they're trying to accomplish.
And to that point, because here's what I really wanted to get to.
Let's do it.
Cannabis business, Airbnb, car rental business, real estate. Y'all navigate a lot of different spaces, which I think is amazing. And in a way, they're lightweight all connected too, right? So how did you get into all those different spaces, and how do you manage it, bro? Because that is a lot.
One of the things that, you're absolutely right. I think doing what makes sense, traveling the path of least resistance. So when you think about businesses, right? Cleveland is an interesting place when it comes to real estate, right? So we have homes in Cleveland that those used to be one of the easiest markets, right, to be a part of. And what's crazy is, growing up, all this stuff was around us, and it was never like, and it was even cheaper when we were younger. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yep.
I wish I would have known about $1,500 houses and $2,000 houses and all that stuff when they was getting them. You know what I mean? And so, but you know, just doing what makes sense, bro. Like, once you break down the math, You know what I mean? And you like, all right, well, you know what I mean? Let's go for it. And anything you jump into, and I'm sure you realize this with, with podcasting and everything else, but anything you jump into, right, you just get better and better and better at it, right? It just becomes easier, right? And and you come back to the table, the drawing board, you say, yo, this worked. Let me, you know what, this is too much time. Let me drop the time down a little bit. I found out that works a little bit better. Let me change my background. Let me, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? So you improve all that stuff. And then what happens is once you start getting into certain realms as entrepreneurs, then everything starts opening up to you, right? And so what I tell people all the time is that you want to find that base, like a tree, right? You want to find that base, and trees grow, and then so as they grow and as they get stronger, then you start developing branches, and so branches just naturally come, right? Airbnb, I mean, once you hear real estate, then you start understanding money and things start clicking. So Airbnb start making sense. You know what I'm saying? You're like, yo, instead of doing long-term rentals, let me just drop to the Airbnb. You know what I'm saying? And then the Airbnb guests needed cars. I'm like, well, shoot, you know what I'm saying? I got a couple cars here. Let me hop on a Turo, and then you
Yep.
start connecting with people, and then things just start making sense. And so and I guess to answer your question is that, and you would know this, is that you just go for it, and everything just takes care of itself. If you go forward with the integrity and the mindfulness to be the best, then everything else takes care of itself. You know what I mean?
So I gotta ask, because we get a lot of people that listen to the podcast. Some people are entrepreneurs, others are not. But for that person who wants to get started, which business that you're involved in would you tell them, this is probably the easiest business to jump into, just to be able to get your feet wet and start learning?
Sure.
Turo. Okay.
Turning
So
cars is the easiest business I've ever done. I mean, okay, let me preface that. It's not the easiest business I've ever done. It's the easiest business to get into. Um, so simple math, right? You only use your car about 3 hours out the day, max, right? Everybody has a car note for the most part. Um, you if you the car note is the second highest it's the number one second highest um expense of any household. So it's usually rent, car note. So it almost makes sense to alleviate, if you can alleviate that second part, right? By just renting it on weekends, putting it on Turo over the weekend, right? Average car note is $450. Average Turo booking is about $80 a day, right? $78 a day. You can just rent it, excuse me, you can just rent it on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and make your car note plus some, and have your ride to work when you really need it. You know what I mean? Um, so that's the easiest way, because basically you're turning what's generally a liability, your second largest liability, into literally your best asset without even changing anything you're already doing.
wow, that's dope. That's dope. So
Yeah,
real quick, bro. I want to talk about generational wealth, right?
yeah, absolutely.
So we grew up in a pretty good area, but not financial literacy wasn't trending the way it is now, where you pretty much have access to everything. So you have one son or two.
I have one son, two daughters.
Okay. What are some of the things that you teach your kids that weren't taught to you growing up, that is going to give them a strategic advantage in life going forward?
Man, I got something good. You might want to write this down. So I
Uh,
got something good. So okay, so um, what I realized in studying, I was listening to Miles Monroe. Uh, but what I realized in studying is that, man, people get paid the most for their memory, right? And so if you want to give your kids an advantage, work on their memory, straight up. You know what I'm saying? From
wow. Wow.
like easiest thing to do, work on the memory. Everything's memory, memory, memory. You know what I mean? And so doctors are doctors because of their memory, right? People get straight A's because of their memory. You know what I mean? And so if you want to get your kids to advance and then learn and take in more information, and not only take in but retain it, work on their memory. You know what I mean? mind mapping skills, and like we play all types of Scrabbles and all types of games like that. That's fun, right? But they're all like memorization games, right? And so the trick that I'm learning, and I mean, and we can we can do a case study in about 10 years and see how we're doing. But the trick that I've read about and learned that the key is working on kids' memory, and people get paid the most. People are the most successful when they have the best memory.
Interesting. Okay, that's something I never thought about.
I know,
Right,
no,
but it's funny because a lot of what we imitate in life and a lot of how we live our lives has a lot to do with what we learn as a kid,
everything.
and it was subliminal programming. We didn't realize it was at work, but as we got older, we realized a lot of the decisions that we make are based upon memory. Yeah, no, that makes sense. But when it comes strictly to financial lessons, like what are some of the things that you
So we do I teach like hard earned lessons on when it comes to money and like getting them bank accounts, stuff like that early, like having conversations, understanding, like we play Monopoly, right? And so not only are we playing Monopoly, it's just that language. You know what I'm saying? Like when I grew up playing Monopoly, you just played it. It's all about the money, right?
right, exactly.
Like you steal some hundreds, you know what I mean? Da, 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 you know what I mean? You know what I mean? But we actually play it, right? Hey, explain to me what buying this property mean, right? How much rent are you getting? How much do I owe you? What does that mean? You know what I mean? What does that mean when you mortgage a property, right? Simple stuff that went over my head as a kid, right? Just breaking it down. We also play a game called Cash Flow from Robert Kiyosaki.
One of my favorite games.
So we're huge cash flow players over here. We don't probably should make them write the bank statements down the old school way, but it makes the game way too long.
Yeah.
But no, stuff like that, right? You know what I mean? Those are, because here's the thing about teaching is teaching is all about repetition. You know what I mean? And so I don't, because they're young, I don't want to lose them. So you just make you just change what commonalities is. And that's the difference, right? When I grew up, commonalities were TV and fun and, you know what I mean, playing outside, slap boxing and hooping, da, 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 which is nothing wrong with those things. But there were the commonalities about finance, to your point, were not included, right? And so there were basic things that, you know what I mean, that I didn't even know about until I got older.
Steve, before we go, man, I want you to talk about the Divide and Conquer webinar.
Yeah, awesome.
How the people can log on, how they can register, and what exactly will they learn?
Yeah, so I break down a series of rules that I've come up with that help my household that I'm giving to other couples that teaches us how to live independent for one goal, to strategize together, to go over each other's credit, to go over, have those conversations that we should have, but we just gloss over and kind of assume our way through it. You know what I mean? Like, kind of, instead of living strategic, we just kind of live day by day and just go through the motions. So I'm taking away going through the motions, and we're leaving, and we're moving, together in strategy and in great financial health. And so those are that's what you're going to get a lot. It's a lot of great information, man, that I personally tapped into my own history to make it make sense. And really, hard rules, right? People do well with rules. And so, I like to, I gave some really hard stuff. You can get it on my Instagram, my link tree. I think the webinar, it'll be up for sale on Monday for $197. So I'm not tapping in anybody's pockets, you know what I'm saying? But I want them to really, and it's only like a good hour, you know what I mean? But bring your notepad, bring everything you need, because it's a life changer for sure.
That's what's up. And how can the people reach you? How can they log on? How can they register?
I'm Steve, the finance guy, man. You know what I mean? I think that I branded that one pretty well.
Yeah, man. Yep, I love it.
Yeah. So yeah, man, I'm still the finance guy, bro. And so definitely, tap into me on Instagram. I have a Think Circle group, Think Circle Financial group on Facebook. Please, find me on the Facebook group. That's in my link tree. It's free. You know what I mean? And all we do is in my Facebook group, we just utilize our experiences to learn from our wins and losses financially. You know what I mean? And so it's a group that I'm growing. We have over 700 people in there now. I just started it like a month and a half ago. So it's growing like crazy. You know what I mean? So, dope community.
Yeah, man. Hey, we're gonna have to do this again, and next time
You have to, I
bring
promise
the
you.
queen, bro.
I got you. I'm definitely gonna bring my wife, man. She getting the kids ready and stuff like that. But I didn't want to miss this.
Bro. Hey, listen, man. Thank you so much. Can't
Absolutely.
wait till this episode drops.
Yeah, this is tough. I dropped some gems on this one.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. Yeah, man. Hey, bro. Until next time, keep doing exactly what you're doing. I think you're blessing a lot of people. And everything we do at the Black Culture Podcast is really about making the culture better. And it's individuals like you that are actually making the culture better. And I just want to let y'all know Steve don't need nothing from y'all. He already balling. But what you're bringing to the table is helping other people to become, helping couples, which I think is huge right now. Which I think you're in a really, really creative niche space, because there's not a lot of people that are actually doing that, So, but yeah, man, once again, thank you guys. If you haven't already, smash that like button and subscribe to our channel. We on YouTube, Apple, Google,
subscribe,
and Spotify. So, brother, thank you once again, man. And until next time.
Man, I love everything you're doing too, bro. You're killing it.
Bro, thanks. Thank you, man.
All right, peace.
All right, my bro. Peace.
Thanks for checking out this episode of the Black Culture Podcast. If you haven't already,
be sure to smash that like button and also subscribe to our channel on YouTube, Apple, Google, and Spotify. And
also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the Black Culture Podcast.
Peace.
Peace.